Persuading someone to do something they just don't want to do is nearly impossible.
The old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, rings true.
In his new book, Instant Influence, Dr. Michael Pantalon reveals his method on how to get anyone to do anything in less than 7 minutes.
Dr. Pantalon is a clinical psychologist and research scientist at Yale University School of Medicine. Welcome. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, before we get to the actual method, talk to us about the research that led up to it.
Sure. I mean, we've been researching this for almost 20 years now, and it's built on science that takes us back even decades before that. But about 20 years ago, I worked in a really tough neighborhood of New York City, the South Bronx, and we worked with people who had mental illness and addiction, and they just weren't following up with their care after we discharged them from the hospital. So we decided to make a couple of little changes because we didn't really have the resources to do a lot. And what we did is we tried to get them to come up with their own reasons for following up with treatment. And we ended up increasing the rate of attendance at their outpatient appointments by about 250%. It was dramatic.
So, doctor, rather than just addiction, can you get people to maybe clean the house?
Sure.
Make dinner?
Yeah.
Do my laundry?
Right. Well, you can have motivate your kids to help around the house. You can motivate your coworkers to come in on time. You can get your loved one to quit smoking, whatever, or get a friend to pick you up from the airport if you need that.
All right, let's get to it then.
Let's get
you say it only takes 7 minutes or less. How do you do that, first of all?
Well, I know it sounds hard to believe, but it works this way, and it works this way for a number of very important reasons. The first of which is you take away all the things that don't work. In our society, we're taught that if we push, if we sell really hard, we're going to get people to do what we want them to do. And maybe sometimes that works, but it's not going to work a second or third time. And a lot of people get turned off by that. So the first thing that makes this work so quickly is that you don't really pressure someone. I mean, what happens when you pressure people?
I would walk away.
They walk away.
Turns them off, right?
That's right. So the first thing is that you have to genuinely say to someone, look, I know you don't have to do this. It's up to you whether or not you do it. I can't force you. And that lowers the defenses, and it makes people more open to change.
So
that's the first
give them
thing.
a choice, more or less?
Yeah,
Okay.
but you have to believe that you're giving them a choice. You can't be doing it as a reverse psychology trick. I mean, reverse psychology works, but not when you're trying to do it as a trick.
But are there people who are better at it than others?
Well, you know, we found that we can train all sorts of people. We've trained parents, we've trained probation officers, emergency room doctors, we've trained some, peer advisors who were teenagers. You just have to have the right mentality that you're not forcing someone to change, but you're actually getting them to talk about why they might want to change.
And where did the 7-minute number come from? Why just 7 minutes?
All right, so after the South Bronx, I came to Yale to do more research, and we ended up adapting this to the emergency room. And 7 minutes in an emergency room is an eternity. So we were asked to boil it down, and that's been my expertise over the years, to make things as simple and as condensed as possible. And we have research that suggests that people coming into the ER with other problems who didn't want to talk about their drinking can start to make reductions in their drinking after a 7-minute intervention, which is largely on these questions.
But isn't it difficult, though, for somebody who knows you very well to try to convince you to do something?
Someone to convince me? Yeah.
You wrote the book about it.
Right. Well, anyone convinced that. Anyone can be moved by it, and anyone can do it. Yes, it is harder when it's a loved one or a friend. They see you coming a mile away. Right. But that's when you have to genuinely say, look, I only want you to do it if you want to do it. And then they go, you read some book. No. Yes, maybe you did. Hopefully people do.
Hopefully your book.
That's right. But you have to mean it. If you really mean it and you say, look, let's have a quick conversation. I promise, no more than 5 or 6 minutes. Let's see if you have any desire to clean your room, to pick me up from the airport. And the person, again, may say, why would I want to do that? And I'd say, that's a great question. And that's where the 7 minutes begins, with the question, why might you change? Why might you want to quit smoking? I'm done telling you why I want you to do it. Why would you want to do it?
So we're going to get into the key points here. First off, you say change the way you talk to people about their problems.
That's right. Yeah, we have to change the conversation. We have to radically change the conversation. Instead of telling people what to do, how to do it, and selling them on why you think they should do it, we simply ask them, what's in it for you? That's the main question. So that's how we change the conversation.
So that's also, you can work when you talk with your teenagers who are trying, you're trying to get them to do something that they don't want to do.
That's right.
You have to get them to be part of the solution.
Right. And the nice thing about this is that it grabs a teenager's attention. It grabs any resistant person's attention. They'll do a double take when you say, look, you don't have to change, and it's up to you, but what might your reasons be? And, you know, teenagers especially, it's developmentally appropriate for them to be independent and to think nothing's going to happen to them. But as soon as you say something that's surprising, it lowers their defenses and it grabs their attention. They stay in the conversation.
And you talk about not being a cheerleader.
Right. So this is not about, I believe you can do it. I mean, if you want to cheer your loved one on after they've decided they want to quit smoking or to be healthier, then that's good to encourage them. But while they're resistant and not wanting to change, cheerleading just annoys people. You know, so it's not timed correctly.
How do you balance that, though, that tough love?
It's hard. Well, it's not, see, the tough love makes love tough, is what I think. So it's not really that we're going to do tough love. We're going to say to someone, look, it's up to you whether or not you want to change. Of course, I'd love for you to change. But again, what's in it for you? And then once people start talking about reasons, you want to feed them back to them. And you say, well, it sounds like you want to be healthier. It sounds like you want to be able to walk farther and breathe better.
So you're almost like planting a seed, and then people are coming up with their own idea that this is what they want to do.
Right. I mean, the only way people change is if they come up with it. People really only listen to one person. It's not their shrink, it's not their mother, it's not their boss, it's themselves. This is a simple way to get people to convince themselves to change.
All right, another key point is getting people to convince themselves, like you just said.
Yes, yeah. So once somebody gets into the conversation, about 45 seconds in, they've done a couple of double takes, and they say, oh, wait a minute. I get it. You're trying to help me figure out if I want to change. And then the defenses are so lowered that I often don't need the rest of the 7 minutes. Now, realistically, some people need additional help. Smokers may need to get a patch, and people who need addiction treatment may need to go to rehab. But the most critical issue is the beginning, moving someone from resistance to motivation, and these questions do it.
Doctor, we're running out of time, but where can we find your book?
Well, you can get it on Amazon.com, R.J. Julia, Yale Barnes & Noble.
Very good. And you also have a book signing coming up. When is that
this
happening?
Coming Friday. I hope everyone comes out at the study at Yale, Friday the 13th at 7 o'clock.
Very good. You must be so excited.
Thank you so much for being here. The name of the book, again, is Instant Influence.
Thanks so much.
All right, now coming up next, the Sabre Point Inn's new restaurant, Fresh Salt, shares their recipe for Stonington scallops and farm vegetables. That's when Connecticut Style returns. Don't go anywhere.